Hey, top of the morning to everybody. It's week 2, answers by guess. Waking up extremely tired. I'm an idiot. Last night, Rob and I recorded a video. I forgot to save it before I tried to share it. Thing went somewhere lost in space. So now I got Rob on the phone again. We're going to try this take 2 without too much deja vu. Um, He's got some questions that he's tabulated over the past week. I've got a couple questions that I can answer as well. So, Rob, if you want to say hello.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? Yeah, joining by phone today. You'll get to see this lovely mug. Definitely excited about doing this in week 2. Answers by guess. So, you ready, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're going to jump right into the games. Divisional games back-to-back for both Cleveland and Baltimore. Definitely great outing by Baltimore defense last week. Cleveland did show up. Seeing what against Pittsburgh, unbelievable. My first question is, do we see a repeat performance of Baltimore defense and keeping Cleveland at bay, or can you see Cleveland making some noise?
I think the Baltimore defense will play right around the same type of game that they played last week. If you remember last week, I said that I thought Cleveland would beat Pittsburgh. They almost did. I think Cleveland is better than most people think they are. I think they have some fantasy-worthy players as well. We'll get to that in a minute. As far as will I see a repeat out of the Baltimore defense, you got to remember they were playing against the inept Bengals defense, who we just saw on Thursday night. They're absolutely terrible. I think that you'll see Baltimore play a similar type of game. I'm not sure if they will shut the Browns down like the way they shut down the Bengals. As far as offenses for these two teams go, I think, Kaiser, he's got a nice connection with Corey Coleman already. I think you're probably going to have a pretty good game this week out of Duke Johnson. I don't think it'll be enough to beat Baltimore. They're on the road this week. And I think you'll see the same exact type of thing out of Baltimore. Last week I said that Baltimore is going to want to run the ball a lot more with Flacco being hurt, and that's exactly what they did. So you're going to see a lot of Terrence West, a lot of Buck Allen, and once again, you might see some possession catches by Macklin, and maybe you'll get your bomb by Wallace this week.
Nice, man. Yeah. Crazy how Buck Allen, big waiver pickup this week. I know I saw him being picked up in a whole bunch of leagues, so definitely good call on that. All right. 1 p.m. games are stacked this week, man. Some really good matchups. The first one that comes to mind is New Orleans versus New England. Tough losses for both of them week 1, especially underperforming quarterbacks. Brady didn't look like Brady. Breeze did okay, but not the Breeze that we're used to. Who has a bounce back game? Give us a little bit on this one.
I think they'll both have good games. I think that Brady has the better game. I think New Orleans defense is absolutely terrible. You saw on Monday night how good they made Bradford look. I think Bradford's good. Been a fan of his for years, all the way back to Alabama. But I don't think that he is. I don't think he is as good as he looked there. I think. Sorry, Jess was calling me upstairs. I don't think that he's as good as he looked. New Orleans defense is absolutely terrible. I think Brady comes out pissed off. I think that the Patriots defense comes out pissed off. I think that they're going to play a little bit better. However, New Orleans being at home, this is where Breeze goes off. So Breeze is going to have a good game as well. Hopefully Michael Thomas can get going this week. Maybe you'll see my sneaky sleeper Brandon Coleman actually get going this week. I think you're going to see the same type of stuff break down with AP and with Ingram and Alvin Kamara. It's pretty much like it's like a 60-30-10. Adrian Peterson's getting like 10% of the snaps and the carries, which is kind of exactly what I said would happen last week. Much ado about nothing. I think he's just there as sort of a name, like a shiny name. But I think Brady has the better game. I think that he's going to come out pissed off. I know that Amendola's not playing. Everybody knows that. So you're going to have Hogan and Cooks. Dorsett's going to play on the 3 wide sets. But I actually think that a guy that I dropped, a guy I played last week and fell into the Bill Belichick evil running back committee random assortment of playing time and not playing time. And then I dropped him this week, Rex Burkhead. I think that he's going to have a really big game this week. I think they're going to use him in the slot. I think they'll put him on the field at the same exact time as James White. I think you'll get a lot of catches out of Burkhead. I think you get a lot of carries. There might be some trick plays involving those two. I think he'll be a big waiver ad after this week is said and done. And then what's going to happen is when next week rolls around, people are going to start putting Rex Burkhead in their lineups, and he's not going to do anything week 3. Because I think the same type of thing, I'm hoping the same type of thing happens this week. I think that people are going to be putting Mike Gillislee in their lineup saying, oh, man, I sat him last week, 3 touchdowns. I got to get him in, But don't they realize what Bill Belichick does? I'd be surprised if Gillislee ends this game with probably like 3 points. He'll have like 26 yards on 8 carries and no touchdowns, no catches, and that's it. And people will be like, what the heck happened to Mike Gillislee? Well, Bill Belichick happened to Mike Gillislee. But no matter what the case, I think New England blows them out. I think New England never takes their foot off the gas, so they're just going to keep passing. They're going to be throwing all over this defense.
Nice, man. All right.
Yeah.
Rex Burkhead actually started the game last week, had a target in the end zone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then he was benched after that. They never even put him back in. So
yeah, no, rough outing. But you're right, man. That that's dangerous. All right, let's move on to another one, man. Minnesota versus Pittsburgh. Minnesota obviously talked about a little bit. Looked great last week. Pittsburgh looked okay against a Cleveland team. Couldn't get Le'Veon going. What do you think about Le'Veon? Give me a bit on the other side too about Delvin Cook.
I think Pittsburgh's going to win this game. I think you're going to have a better game this week out of Le'Veon than you had last week. Even though he's playing a tougher defense, it's just he did nothing in the offseason. He wasn't even around. He didn't even show up until I want to say like a couple days before the season started. He's not going to do worse than he did last week, so that's good news for those of you that took him number 2. I mean, at least you didn't take David Johnson number 2, right? I said Le'Veon Bell would get hurt last week. I guess I had the wrong stud running back. So he'll do better. Big Ben at home. He's always better at home. Martavis Bryant is going to be better this game because that was his first game playing in over a year. So I think all your Steelers are going to do better. Like I said before, I think Sam Bradford is good. I've always been a fan of his, and I think I said Alabama. I meant Oklahoma. When he played college, I was a fan of his all the way since then. I was a fan of his when he played for the lowly Rams. But he's not what he showed he was on Monday. That was the Saints defense, and I think Pittsburgh's defense is a little bit better. And I don't even know if Bradford plays. I mean, I woke up this morning and I saw that, he's a game-time decision. They were surprised he even took the flight to Pittsburgh. So if he doesn't play, I mean, I don't even know. Do they still have Sean Hill as their quarterback? Is he their number 2? Because if he is, I mean, this is going to be Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, T2 all day, every day. Because Pittsburgh's going to get up on them, and they're just going to be controlling the ball and the clock and the entire game. Because if it's not Bradford, Vikings don't have a chance. And if it's not Bradford, Delvin Cook drops down a ton. I think he'll have a good game if Bradford does play, and if Bradford's healthy enough to actually play. But otherwise, I mean, Delvin Cook not looking good for today. So now I just realized this, Rob. You're going to hate me even more. but I think I'm playing against, in the Fantasize Me League, Dalvin Cook and Mike Gillislee. So, I mean, I might be 2-0 after today.
Look at that. Wow. Oh, man. Yeah, and obviously Bradford not playing. I mean, that means tough game probably for Diggs, for Thielen, Kyle Rudolph. Bradford not in that lineup makes a big difference. I agree.
Oh, yeah. And I mentioned this in the video that got lost in space. I heard somebody on the radio compare Adam Thielen to Jordy Nelson, calling him, white on white. And I think Adam Thielen is the real deal, man. He looked a lot like Jordy Nelson on Monday night. So I'm a big fan of Adam Thielen. I got a Thielen.
Yeah, man, got a Thielen. That's my name, definitely, man. But yeah, you're right. I actually mentioned him last week like an idiot for Marshall, thinking that he was going to come up big. But we'll talk more about the G-Men later.
Yeah.
Two teams that didn't play last week due to Hurricane Irma, definitely blessings over to Florida. I mean, Tampa Bay's up against Chicago. Miami's against the Chargers this week. There's a lot of big names, obviously, that didn't play the first week because of this game not playing. Let's start with Tampa Bay. In your opinion, would you see putting up big numbers and having a big fantasy impact?
Yeah, I sort of touched on this in the video again that got lost. I lost that. I'm sorry. Everybody, I think, has forgotten about Jacquizz Rodgers. I think everybody was high on him once they found out Doug Martin was going to be suspended the first 3 games. They said, Jacquizz Rodgers, that's a nice starting running back for the first 3 weeks. I can get him very cheap in the very end of drafts. And now they forgot about him. I haven't seen him in a single lineup, but I saw people drafting him. I think that he's probably going to have a pretty good game. I actually think Charles Sims is going to have a better game, though.
Big call.
Yeah, I think Winston, as long as, I said this, as long as he's not throwing from his back, he's going to, throw the ball to Mike Evans 20 times. Oh, Evans going to have a big game. Deshaun will get a bomb or 2. And I'm hoping that they play Chris Godwin a little more than Adam Humphries, just because I like his upside more. I want to see what this kid can do at the pro level. I was a fan of his in college as well. So if Chris Godwin gets on the field in 3 wide sets for the Bucs, he could be somebody who's picked up in leagues next week as well. So if the Dolphins are going, or not the Dolphins, who's Tampa Bay playing again? Chicago. If Chicago doubles up on Mike Evans, I think that if they're putting Chris Godwin in the game, they're doubling up on Mike Evans. I think he could have a really good game this week. The only problem is they love Adam Humphries, and I have no idea why they love Adam Humphries. On Chicago's side of the ball, I said this last week when I talked about how my partner wanted to take Atlanta over Chicago in the survivor pool. I didn't really like it, but I took the Patriots instead of the Rams, so I'm an idiot. So I'm glad I let him go with his. I feel like Chicago is the worst team in the league. I think Mike Glennon is, for lack of a better term, the real deal. He's an NFL quarterback. He's been around the league for quite a few years, has been the most solid backup, I think. So I think the Bears are okay. The Bears' big problem is they have no wide receivers left. Kevin White's now out for the year. Cam Meredith was lost in the preseason. All they have left is a bunch of castaways. They got Kendall Wright, Marcus Wheaton, guys like that. Geez, I think they might have to call back Victor Cruz, even though he's probably in a wheelchair right now. Everybody picked up Tariq Cohen, probably a good pickup because Jordan Howard, all of a sudden he's hurt. And now this is starting to remind me of what happened last year with Jeremy Langford and Jordan Howard. Jeremy Langford played the first couple weeks. He was supposed to be the big guy, the big starter, and all of a sudden something happened with him. He gets benched. Jordan Howard comes in. Now he's a big man on campus. Now all of a sudden Jordan Howard, something's happened with him. Tariq Cohen is everybody's favorite grandkid. He's going to be getting into starting lineups this week. I think that because of his check down joystick, they call him the human joystick, that type of speedy ability, he might get some points for people today. So watch out for him because Tampa Bay's defense is young and on the rise. But the one thing that they haven't been able to do too well is stop those check down, speedy running back type guys. So Tariq Cohen, especially with Jordan Howard being injured, I mean, he's probably going to be a game time decision, I think, as well this morning. Tariq Cohen could be a big guy this week. Because otherwise, the Bears don't really have much to throw to. Kendall Wright should have 15 catches today. He should. Will he? I don't know. But he should. I would put him in my lineup if I had to.
Yeah, probably number one waiver wire pickup, I would think, in all these leagues that are out there. All right, sounds good. Let's move on to Miami, man. Obviously, Cutler, big news. Tannehill out for the year. Give me some insight on Cutler and what you're thinking for Miami.
Yeah, another game. People are forgetting about all these players on the Dolphins just because they got this 1 week off. People are so fixated on what happened and what didn't happen last week. We're forgetting that the Bucs are loaded with fantasy guys and the Dolphins are loaded with fantasy guys. I mean, they're playing against San Diego. Jason Verrett's not playing, which means there's going to be nobody to cover Devontae Parker. I'm putting him in my lineup this week. I didn't forget about him. I've been waiting to see what he's going to do. I feel like this guy has a message to send. And you know who else does? I think Cutler. Cutler's got a message to send, to show people to say, listen, you all passed up on me. I was going to retire. I was retired, but this is why you shouldn't have passed up on me. So I think Cutler's going to have a big game because the San Diego secondary is hurting. Devontae Parker's going to have a big game, fingers crossed, super hopefully. They don't like Landry anymore, which I don't really understand. So because of that, maybe Kenny Stills has a good game. Maybe Leonte Carew. Maybe he comes out of the depths of hell to actually do something today. I think Jay Ajayi, and I think I have to play him in a league or two. I don't like him today. He's going against the front seven for San Diego is probably one of the best in the league. I don't know if he's going to find much running room today. So unless Cutler can take the top off and hit some bombs to Parker early, it's going to be tough sliding for Ajayi. So if you have to play Ajayi, temper your expectations just a little bit. I have to. On the flip side of it, I think that the Chargers, Melvin Gordon's going to have a huge game. I think that they're going to try their darndest to run him into the ground today, especially. For whatever reason, they continue to put new wide receivers into their core. They have so many wide receivers, they don't even know what to do with them. They try and trade Dontrell Inman. Nobody wants him, but he's their number 4 on their team. Mike Williams is back at practice. He won't play today. You got Travis Benjamin, who had a great game last week. He can get open for the deep one. He can be a check down, speedy guy to bust one. Tyrell Williams, and then they have Keenan Allen and Bubble Wrap. So I think what they're going to try and do against the soft Miami front seven, I think they're going to try and pound the rock a lot today. So temper your expectations with Keenan Allen. I think Tyrell Williams has a better game than Keenan Allen. Melvin Gordon has a huge game. Jay Ajayi has a tough game. Devontae Parker and Cutler, very big games.
All right, sounds good, man.
Yep.
Let's keep on going.
By the way, let me pause you right here. Doing this in the morning is rough, man. I am hurting. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Sorry.
I think he's hurting too. He just fell asleep.
No, I'm here, man. I'm here.
Okay. You got another question?
Yeah, man. All right. So, Miami in the Los Angeles game is at 4 p.m. hour, but looking at the schedule, other intriguing game from this one is Dallas at Denver. Obviously, Dallas played against G-Men last week. Just had their defense on the field. Again, we'll talk about the G-Men later. But Denver also, not the greatest offensive game, but through with the victory. Dallas going 2-0 against that Denver defense, or do you see Denver pulling it out with their limited offensive abilities?
Yeah, no, Dallas is going to lose this one. Denver's going to win this game. I think the Vegas line tells the story here. I think they have Dallas favored by a couple points on the road at Mile High. Are you kidding me? They are just trying to lure the public who loves them Cowboys into laying some money on them. Lure the public who thinks that Trevor Siemian is not a capable NFL quarterback into taking the Cowboys. I know. I said that my hated New York Giants would beat Dallas last week, even though I knew because I called that ODB would not play. But I'll risk going 0-2 on my Dallas Cowboy games because I think Denver wins this one. It might only be by 2 or 3 points, but I think they do enough to slow down Zeke that Dak has to have the ball in his hands more often than he would like to, more often than Jason Garrett would like to have him have the ball in his hands. And I think they frustrate Dak quite a bit today. I think they can shut down Dez. And even if they didn't, I think Dallas this year wants to get more of their wide receivers involved. So I think aside from Dak and Cole Beasley, once again, I said it last week, you're going to see more Terrence Williams, which you saw a ton of him last week. You're going to see more Bryce Butler, and you're going to see some Ryan Switzer before the season gets about halfway done. I think they want to try and spread the ball around and develop Dak into more of a, see the whole field, scan the whole field type quarterback. Today's not going to be the day to do that, though, because Denver's pass defense is going to be ready for the Cowboys to come to town. Denver's going to win this game. Trevor Siemian is more than good enough with his top 2 receivers being probably the top two in the league. Maybe there's a couple teams that can rival with that. I know people say Pittsburgh or even my Packers. But, I mean, what these two guys do in Denver every single year, Trevor Siemian can get them the ball. I think their running backs, Jamal Charles, looked a little spry last week. We'll see if that can go into today. But they have really nobody else to pass to. I mean, I think do they have AJ Derby? Is he in Virgil Green? Are they their tight ends? I mean, and then their third wide receivers keep getting hurt. But it's not going to matter. Their defense is going to win this one. They're going to frustrate Dallas. I would throw caution to the wind on all of my Cowboys today. I think Denver is going to be very hungry in this one because they know that a lot of people are already calling the Cowboys, Super Bowl contenders, and they're already calling Denver not even playoff worthy. So they're going to make a statement today. Today's a statement game, and they're going to frustrate Dak, I think.
All right. Wow. A lot of big calls there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You make me a little nervous.
If you want like a projection on Zeke, I think he'll probably, because they'll try and keep the ball out of Dak's hands today because that's what Dallas wants to do. So they're going to try and pound the rock. I mean, he might have 23 carries. The problem is I think he gets only about 75 yards tops.
All right. Sounds good, man. All right. Let's go into tonight's game. Green Bay versus Atlanta. Green Bay, 2 tough matches. Week 1, Seattle, and then Atlanta. Let's talk about, Atlanta almost losing to Chicago last week, which was crazy. What do you see as far as this game? Who do you think has a better game, Jordy or Julio? Maybe touchdowns for both. Any sleeper alerts here?
Yes, sleeper alerts. Taylor Gabriel. I will 100% guarantee Taylor Gabriel has a big game today. He is the type of player that the Packers just cannot stop. They cannot stop small, shifty wide receivers. They cannot stop bulky, speedy running backs. Tevin Coleman, he's going to have a big game too. And they cannot stop, although they did last week, I think they just have Russell Wilson's number. They can't stop mobile quarterbacks. Luckily, Matt Ryan is like a statue. So they probably won't really have to worry about that. But the other two, Taylor Gabriel is going to have a big game. I would throw a dart at Tevin Coleman this week. Freeman's going to have a good game too. because the Packers defense is made of Swiss cheese. They had a good game last week. I think today's going to be a high-scoring game. I think this game and the New Orleans game, you take the super over. If you can go over 75, you probably do that if they're paying you a good amount.
Yeah, here, love it.
Yeah. The one thing about Atlanta is, while I said before I was nervous that Chicago would beat them, and I think that's because Chicago was at home, Atlanta was on the road. Matt Ryan's never really been great on the road, but now he's at home. He's playing against the Packers, and the Packers, I have to believe, are pretty pissed off about the way their season ended at the hands of Atlanta last year. Oh, yeah. Atlanta jumped out to that huge lead in the playoffs. But after that, I mean, Green Bay pretty much traded punches with them. And if you remember when they played in the regular season last year, Green Bay should have won that game. They were right there in it. There was a pass interference that wasn't called at the end of the game. And if you remember both those games, Ty Montgomery had great games against Atlanta. So if you have him as maybe your third running back or your second one, but you're thinking about playing like a Tariq Cohen or a Buck Allen or a Kerwin Williams or somebody you picked up or maybe traded for over Ty Montgomery this week, I wouldn't do that. I'd put him, he's one of my top 5 or 6 running backs this week. I think he's going to have a huge game. Think about it. Green Bay is going to have to be throwing the ball. If their defense shuts down Atlanta the way they shut down Seattle, you might as well just give Green Bay the Lombardi Trophy right now. Because that's all they ever needed was their defense. Their defense was worn out last year. I don't see it happening. But if it happens, I'd be very afraid for all you other fans out there. But you got to play Montgomery because Green Bay is going to have to be throwing the ball. They're going to be having to keep up with Atlanta. And Ty Montgomery is going to be a big part of that. A lot of people are going to be all over Randall Cobb. And I caution you to that. They're going to be all over Randall Cobb, and they're going to be like, oh, Randall Cobb, he's back. He had, 9 catches last week on 12 targets. Yeah, 9 catches for about 80 yards. Now, you might say, well, that's 9 a catch. Yeah, but that's not that good in the NFL. I'd throw caution to the wind with Randall Cobb. I'm putting him on my bench and putting Devontae Parker over him. I would not expect Randall Cobb to have as good of a game as he had last week. Cobb does pretty well against the Seahawks and sometimes not that good against the Falcons as far as I can remember. So I think Adams is going to have a pretty good game. I think Jordy, you asked about him. Maybe he gets his touchdown this week. On the flip side, Matt Ryan, I already told you, Taylor Gabriel, I think he goes off. He's going to have at least 2 that he busts, probably 1 for a touchdown at least. Tevin Coleman's going to go off and welcome himself to the 2017 season. Julio will get a touchdown today. Julio loves to just abuse the Packers as well. So I think this will be a high-scoring game. If you got any Packers and you got any Falcons, you throw them in. The only one I would put caution on is Randall Cobb. I think Cobb last week, I was very happy and needed it. And I like that as a Packers fan, what I saw, and I hope that continues. I just don't think it does today. He might get 6 grabs, but he might get 6 for 46. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Got you, man. All right, loving the Tevin Coleman thing, man. Starting him in 2 leagues actually this week, so huge plus there for me.
Nice.
All right. All right. Before we move on to Monday night, obviously we've named a bunch of players. We talked about a bunch of games and stuff like that. There's some games we haven't talked about. Any names you want to throw out there as far as they should be targeting in their starting lineups or even picking up waivers? I know you mentioned a few already. If you want to recap that a little bit too, that's cool.
Yeah, I think Burkhead has a huge game today. I can't say that enough. I want to get it on record that I'm saying this. Rex Burkhead, 9 snaps last week, touched the ball on every single snap, didn't go after a touchdown pass, was benched pretty much for 2 full quarters. Bill Belichick plays his evil games at running back. Rex Burkhead has a huge game today, and Gillislee gives you very little. Kerwin Williams, everybody knows the name now. A lot of people picked him up. I got him. I'm playing him because if he can't start at home and do well against the Indianapolis Colts, then you don't want him on your team. So I'm playing him today in hopes that he does well. If he doesn't, he'll be gone by tomorrow. If he does, he'll be on my team, and I'll try and trade him tomorrow. But all jokes aside, Buck Allen too, because we talked about him, but Flacco's not healthy. His back, they basically have Tony Romo Part 2 going on over there with Flacco's back. They don't want him standing in the pocket, having to throw the ball a ton. So if he does throw the ball, look for checkdowns to Buck Allen. Buck Allen running the ball. I'm sure Terrace West isn't really available unless you play in one of those stupid 8 or 10 team leagues. But we pretty much touched on a lot. Cooper Kupp, I brought him up last week. Surprisingly enough, like the only league I didn't have him in, I said, let me hold on to my waiver ranking there. And, I was pretty set. And he was still sitting there Wednesday morning. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I dropped, can't remember who I dropped. I dropped Jamison Crowder. Probably stupid, but I'd rather have Cooper Kupp than Jamison Crowder right now because I don't know what's going on in Washington. So we didn't talk about the Washington game. Today's going to tell a big story because if they can't get their offense going and really show me something, I'd be a little scared about my Kirk Cousins shares this year, my Rob Kelly shares, my P. Ryan shares, all those receivers. Pryor's got a lot to prove. Can he do it year 2? So I'd keep an eye out in Washington today, and I'd be scared about all of them. Jordan Reed, his feet are made of glass. So you never really know what you're going to get out of him because you're expecting 20 points, but he's got to be able to play for at least 20 minutes. So I'd keep an eye out for Washington today. And I'd also like to see – I had a question. Actually, somebody PM'd me on Facebook, and I kind of like that. PM me because that way people don't know who's asking the questions. That way, if your friends are looking and they see that you wrote something, they don't know that you're asking questions in the league and getting direct answers to you. So it's kind of sneaky. I like that. They were wondering about Nelson Aguilar. They were wondering if they should play Nelson Aguilar. I think some of their other players were like Dorsett, who else? Doxson. And I'm like, what? Why are these guys even on your roster? So I told him, yes, Aguilar. Play Aguilar. Now, Aguilar and Zach Ertz had big games last week because they were double and triple teaming Alshon Jeffrey. But either way, man, everything we've been hearing for the past 2 months from Aguilar has been, roses. So you might as well ride the wave. I'd have him in. Ertz, he's my favorite tight end this year. I grabbed him in as many leagues as I could. I think he has a great game as well.
All right, very nice, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Monday Night Football, G-Men, I think I mentioned a couple times, didn't show up last week. I started Brandon Marshall over Thielen, what a mistake that was. Obviously, OBJ still not a call as far as if he's going to play or not. Let's talk a little bit about OBJ. Do you start any of the wideouts? What wideouts are you starting from the G-Men? And if OBJ does play, do you play Marshall alongside him? Do you put him in your lineup because he's going to have more targets or if they double on OBJ?
All right, couple things. One, last week, Sunday morning, I said OBJ would not play. You took that as a huge surprise, as I'm sure a lot of people did. I was right. And this week, I say OBJ plays. He's going to play. He's not going to sit out again. And I think a lot of people might see that as a surprise. It might make a lot of Giants fans happy, but I could care less about you Giants fans. Sorry. I picked your terrible team to win, but I forgot that Eli Manning plays quarterback with his eyes closed. Had I remembered that and maybe had not been consuming so many beverages that morning, I maybe would have rethought that. But Giants, Odell Beckham's going to play. They love Shane Vereen. I think that was game plan. I think that was because Eli had his eyes closed and he just could hear Vereen because he was so close to the line of scrimmage, so he knew where he was. So he was just peppering him. OBJ is going to play. Marshall, like, how do you give somebody their first target in like the fourth quarter? Am I right there? Isn't that kind of what happened? I mean, I know I'm watching this game and I'm texting you, Rob. I'm like, I'm sorry that I suggested that you play Brandon Marshall, and that he got his first target. And it was like 3 minutes left in the game. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, they put points on the board, man. To be honest, he had the entire game. He had 2 points at the end of the game. I woke up to 2 points. I'm like, all right, at least it wasn't zero.
Yeah. Sterling Shepard, I mean, in the 3 wide sets, yes, I still like him. I sold him off a lot in this offseason, but then I sort of started to warm back up to him right around draft time. So I like him. Evan Ingram, I love him. So I think those 2 guys are the 2 guys, along with your Marshall there. I think those 3 together, someone's going to emerge from those 3, and I think they do it probably this week. And then OBJ is going to have a pretty good game when he plays tonight. And he'll get through it healthy, and he'll get another week to heal back up. And I think week 3 rolls around, you're going to have a much more healthy Odell. And one of those 3 guys is going to emerge this week and have a really good week. The one player that I wish would do something with his life would be Paul Perkins. I have no idea what's going on with him. You know what I think it is? I think the Giants coach is just a terrible coach.
Wow, McAfee, look at that.
Yeah, and like it's funny because when he was in Green Bay and he was their offensive coordinator, I mean their offense was ridiculous. But now he's the head coach, and it's almost like he forgot how to like coach an offense or call plays for an offense, and it's really strange. And it kind of started in the Green Bay playoff game against Green Bay last year. I mean, their offense, they had a couple plays where they could have, really drove a stake into the Green Bay heart, and they didn't hit them. And then after that, they were just terrible. And now, 1 week into the season, they look exactly just as terrible. So I would hold my breath with all my Giants today. One of those 3, I know it's not that great of a prediction, but one of those 3 I mentioned before will bust out today. Vereen's not going to get 10 catches again, 10 catches.
All right.
Yeah.
I got you, man. All right. Hopefully it's Brandon Marshall just because, again, let's see. I got him on my team. So, all right, let's flip it to the other side. Fourth quarter kid comeback. I don't even know how to call him, man. Matt Stafford. Again, Arizona defense looks silly. At the end of the game in the fourth quarter. I mean, let's talk a little bit about them. Let's talk about a little bit about him. What do you think of running backs? Give me some wideouts.
Yeah, I said this in a thing I wrote before we did our first video, long before the season. I said you're going to wish that you drafted Matt Stafford in the same way you wished you drafted Matt Ryan last year. So I knew Stafford was going to have a good week 1. Now, surprisingly enough, I think he's going against a tougher defense. I think that the Giants' secondary is better than Arizona's secondary, which sounds a little weird to say, but I think it's the truth. And this is also kind of why I think the Giants will be a little bit better today. Eli will have his eyes open today because I actually think I don't think Detroit's secondary is very good. So I think the Giants will win this game. And because they'll probably be in control of it for the majority of it, I mean, the Lions just love to wait for the fourth quarter to come back. Because of that, you'll want to play your Lions if you got them. Golden Tate was a little banged up this week, but, he's checked down Charlie. He'll get 8 grabs. Marvin Jones, I'd love to see him blow up. I own him in a couple leagues. And then you got everybody's sweetheart, Kenny Galladay. Dude's like 6'4". He's going to be there. Yeah, he's going to be their big red zone guy. I mean, that's why I loved Stafford going into this year, just because he had those 3. He's also got T.J. Jones. He's also got Jared Abbrederis, who a lot of people might not know, but one of those wide receivers goes down. Jared Abbrederis is going to be a name to know. He was a Packers backup, big white dude. He's sick. He's got great hands. And then Eric Ebron, if he is at the game today, maybe he'll show up. Then their 2 running backs, Abdullah and Riddick, their top 2. I mean, they can catch passes. They can run the rock. So I think Detroit's got a ton of weapons, but I do think the Giants win today. But I would play all of my Lions, and I'd play all my Giants in this one if I had to.
All right, very nice, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean that's week 3, guys. I mean, comment, reach out to us. Like you said, private messaging if you don't want your people that you're playing against to know your strategies and what we're thinking too. Yeah, definitely, guys. I mean, answers by guess.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Please send your questions. I know you'll probably go on there and you'll let us know all the times we messed up today. Give me a break, though. I'm a little tired today. Rough night last night.
Second recording, buddy. Second recording, right?
Yeah. All right, everybody. So we'll see you again week 3. I want to see your questions, private message, put them in the YouTube comments, put them in the video comments, do whatever you need to do. Remember, this is where you're going to want to come. If you don't want to hear what people think, you want to hear what I think. I'm just guessing here. Answers by guess. See you all next week.
All right.